talk about the intensification of agriculture, and all governments are sort of making undertakings of increases up to 20% by 2020 and things like that. Where are these things going to come from, Jeff? These expansions?
It's going to come from a whole range of technologies, and fertilisers will be one of a number of technologies which farmers employ to enhance their productivity and production longer term. So it's probably not going to come from one only, but a whole suite of technologies, fertilisers just being one of them.
Jeff, listening to the presentations on soil nutrients and fertilisation sort of at this conference, it seems that we've got a long way to go to know what we're doing with nutrients.
Yeah, look, I think there's certainly opportunities to manage nutrients better. We've got technologies that help us to understand better the nutrients that are in the soil and make better estimates of the likely crop yields, and therefore to be able to match up what the crops actually need with what we're actually applying to them in fertilisers.
If we listen to some of these people, and they're talking about lime, and they're talking about gravel, and they're talking about sort of long-term and short-term effects of applications and how they're going, it seems that the industry's got a hell of a long way to go to learn a lot more about nutrient management.
Yeah, look, there's certainly a lot more that I think can be put into practice in terms of nutrient management, and having people that have got the knowledge and skills, as well as that are applying competent practices or sound practices that are using laboratories that are meet the proficiency requirements and produce repeatable numbers, will be part of the whole process of improving the way we manage nutrients longer term.
To become an accredited advisor, is that the term? An accredited.
Yep.
Is that an intensive course? Is it an examination of your past history? What's the process there?
Yeah, the FertCare accredited advisor component is not a training course. The program assumes that people already have the knowledge and skills to become a FertCare accredited advisor. It's an assessment process. So that process can be undertaken in two ways. One is through a systems assessment, and what we mean by a system is something like Nutrient Advantage Advice or New Logic, Summit Fertilisers. They have systems, and you can be part of an assessed system. The other alternative is for an individual to go through an individual assessment and become a FertCare accredited advisor.
Right. In relation to nutrient budgeting and things like that, is that an intensive part of things like in the dairy industry ages ago used to measure the milk and the grass and the cows that went off? Is that part of accreditation, knowing those things?
Yeah, the FertCare accredited advisor program references industry benchmarks or industry, like for example the Better Fertilizer Decisions projects in the grain industry, which has provided good data on things like critical soil test values, nutrient budgeting, things of that nature, to help make sure that advisors are basing their recommendations on the latest information that is accepted science in Australia.
Okay. The test every 2 years, is that just a sort of a bit of a chat and a click in a box, or is it an intense discussion about one's progress?
Yeah, look, it's more than just a tick a box thing. You're asked to provide a list of the recommendations that you provided in the last 2 years, as well as the basis for your recommendations, and any of the recommendations that have been done in the last 2 years can be picked up in that assessment, in that audit process. So it's not just turn up and get the tick. It's actually looking at the recommendations that have actually been made in the preceding 2-year period. Becoming accredited, there's no real minimum standard for advisors. before FertCare Accredited Advisor program, and anyone can call themselves an agronomist and start providing advice. And as a result of that, we've got a wide variation in the quality of the advice that's given to farmers. What this program seeks to do is to provide a minimum standard of advice for farmers, so that it's based on good practice, on sound science, and competent laboratories, proficient laboratories, so that the industry is acting not only in terms of the best interests of the client in terms of optimising his productivity, but minimising other risks such as movement of nutrients into waterways, for example, where that's been a particular issue in places like the Swan and Scotch River coastal plain in Western Australia, or the World Heritage listed Great Barrier Reef in North Queensland. The practices of farmers in those catchments is under scrutiny, and FertCare has been accepted in those areas by natural resource managers as one of the steps by which we can get better practices happening on farm around nutrient management.
Okay. In relation to your experience in North Queensland, where I suppose we of course talk about Western Australia, where you got involved in sorting out an issue that actually saved the use of or the ongoing use of phosphates. Can you describe how that evolved?
Look, it was a process of the fertiliser industry getting engaged and being part of the discussion. There was certainly concern around the water quality that was being happening in the catchments in the Swan River, for example, and was of concern to the public, and therefore flowed on to politicians and to government, natural resource managers, etc. So the industry took a stand of getting involved and being part of working through the issues and providing us a potential part solution. Fertilisers are only a part of the issue. Fertiliser management is part of the issue, not the whole issue. And so FertCare provides substance to the industry's approach of objective, site-specific nutrient management plans at a paddock level.
But having to deal with some of these environmental issues must be a challenge.
Absolutely. Some of these issues invoke strong emotional responses from people. I guess the challenge is to find the areas of common agreement and to be able to work constructively through to find solutions that are likely to produce the outcomes that we're all looking for. I think farmers are, by their nature, they're conservationists. They want to look after their land and the waterways that flow within and around their land. So I think everyone, there are opportunities for improvement in the way we do manage nutrients, and I think we need to be taking them so that we get more of the nutrients that we apply into the plant and into the harvested produce of our crops and livestock systems, and minimise the amount that goes elsewhere. It makes sense from a farm productivity, from an economic perspective, from a farmer's perspective. It also makes sense from a natural resource management perspective. We want the nutrients where they're going to do productive good for us as a society. We don't want them in waterways or other places that aren't helpful for us.
So really, what we get is the better use of fertilisers and the better placement of fertilisers into the future, which obviously results in a more economic enterprise anyway.
Absolutely. I think there is a win-win in this in terms of better nutrient management, which results in more targeted use of nutrients so that we get more into the harvested produce and less going into other places where it's not helpful for us. For example, into waterways. We want to avoid that. It makes no economic sense for farmers to be applying nutrients that end up in waterways. They want to make investment in nutrients that are going to produce crops, produce livestock that they can sell. So farmers will make wise choices once they're armed with the information, and we need to have advisors which can help our farmers make good choices make wise decisions in the circumstances in which they face, and get the best return out of the investment that they make in fertilisers and nutrients.